Hi everyone. This is a new video series that I'm starting. I've been wanting to share a video series for quite some time, and I'm labeling this series Mixed Media Chronicles. I have to say I'm a little nervous, as I generally do live streams, as most of you know. And it's odd, I know I shouldn't be nervous. You wouldn't think it, but it's true. I have to kind of keep your attention while I'm talking to you or to the camera, and there isn't a live audience. So that's the difference, and hopefully I'll be able to do that as we share a little time together. But it's true, and I'm going to try to do my best. Anyway, the series is just a way for me to share a little more with my regular friends out there, subbies, and maybe reach out to those that have limited time and can't make my live streams. And two, maybe share a little more of my art, explore and play with products that I don't always reach for. You know, we forget about those products that we put away on a shelf over there and under our desk under there, and just have fun. So I hope you'll join me, and it's really no rules. Maybe I'll help those that are new and just starting in the mixed media world. Maybe you're somewhere along the midway range and you have questions, or you kind of like what I'm doing and you want to know more. But anyway, I hope you join me, and I think we'll have some fun together. I'm going to make it really simple, and you can choose to follow along on the same kind of substrate that I'm doing, or you can choose your own substrate. There really is no path to follow. I'm going to be recycling. I have a big bunch of old Christmas cards that are all roughly within the same size range, and the reason why I'm choosing these is a couple reasons. One, to use them up. And it'll give a good size space to work on. You can fold them in and out, and I think that maybe we'll do something fun after a period of time, or when we're done with all of so many, and maybe we'll bind them in a fun way, and we'll have a fun little book to look back on. So that's my plan. I'm going to pull out different papers and things, and you can use whatever mediums you like and whatever ephemera you like, and yeah, just follow along and have fun. So I'm going to get the rest of my supplies ready, and I'll come back to you, and I hope you'll join me on this adventure. Talk to you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. So I've gathered some supplies. Just some of the basics that I usually work with. I'm typically a liquid medium artist. So those of you who've not seen me on stream, I typically am a lover of watercolors. This is my studio palette, which is a mixture of Imgram, Daniel Smith, Mission Gold, and a couple of odds and ends. But I'm setting aside my studio palette, and I pulled out my Rembrandt watercolors. Again, I don't normally pull for this palette, but I want to use them, so that's part of the reason for doing this series, is to use products I don't normally reach for. So I pulled that out. Another product that I typically use a lot is my inks. Now, I may pull for those from time to time, but for tonight I'm gonna use these watercolors. Now, this is a professional grade watercolor, Rembrandt is, but if you have a cheap watercolor set that you like, and you want to follow along with that, or you want to use watered down acrylic paints, or if you want to use any other medium of choice, you just follow along with what you have. This is you use what you have, and if you want to know what I'm using, I'm gonna tell you what I'm using, and if you wanna follow along with that, you know, that's good too. Some other basics things that I keep in my studio. I do like Art Basics gessos. I use clear gesso quite a bit. This is good for going over ephemera that you don't want to use white gesso. It's also a good base for in your art journals and that, and you can watercolor over it. Another brand of or another gesso I use is the white gesso, and I fill an old Liquitex basic gesso bottle with some of this watered down for a watered down gesso, or I'll use this for a modeling paste. If I have heavier papers, I'm generally a thin paper girl. Like I like to use napkins and tissue paper with decorative tissue paper, or stamped image on tissue paper, or pre-designed tissue paper. I also like to use rice paper, pre-designed rice paper. I typically go for the thin paper. Even when I make my own homemade, not homemade, or handmade background papers, I use a particular brand of papers. I typically don't use cardstock. I don't use anything that's really heavy. But if I do have some heavier type of papers that I use, I will use golden matte medium. Now this is a little pricey, so use what you have. If you have matte medium, a different brand of matte medium, or if you have Mod Podge or any PVA glue that you prefer, again, use what you have. I'm just letting you know what I use. I fill a little in this little Dawn bottle, which is kind of cruddy because I use quite a bit. So you can, but I put a little bit of this in here, and then I keep this at my arm's reach for when I need to use it. So those are just some of the basics that I will reach for, that you'll see me reach for in my studio. I do have some other odds and ends that I might reach for, like if I need a heavier gel medium, I might reach for that. Another product that I like to use quite a bit is the Prima chalk paste. You may see me reach for that. If I reach for anything else, naturally I'll let you know what I use. But those are the range of mediums, per se, that you'll see me reach for. And pardon me, I sound a little funny because I'm still dealing with cold. This winter is really, I've been going 3 weeks now with a cold, so I apologize if I sound a little weird. But for tonight's, I don't know what to call these, if you want to call these cards or pages, but I did reach for a stamp set in my stash. So this is just some basic flowers let me zoom out just a little bit. I don't know if I'm zoomed in too much, but just some flowers that we'll stamp and we'll colorize with the watercolor. I pulled some, I love these and I don't use them enough, my Prima oil pastels. Now these are water soluble. You gotta watch when you buy different pastels, because some of them are water soluble and some are not. So I pulled those. Another product, and I just got these and I've only really used these once, are these Durant Graphitent pencils. I love these. Typically I love to use pencils in general in my backgrounds. Like I'll scribble with them or make mark making with them, and then I have the full range of Durant Inktense pencils. So you'll find me reach for those in this video series from time to time, or you'll see me reach for these. Tonight I'm going to use these. So that's pretty much what we're going to use in the range of color mediums is the watercolors, the oil pastels, and the graphic pencils. And then as far as some papers, I did some pull. Now we all have, and maybe you're just starting out, but if you don't have it, pull some copy paper, or splash some paint. Even if you don't have stencils, make some stencils or cut out shapes and just go to town. Make some marks on your paper to create some shapes on paper. I've been doing this a little while, so I do have some stencils in my stash. So these are some of my some tidbits from some of my handmade papers. I've pulled this out. Some other pieces I pulled out. Again, these are some of my handmade papers. So again, these are very thin. I pulled some little piece of music paper. I like a lot of, not a lot of, but I should say some black and white or dark color with a white for contrast. I use a lot of book pages in my backgrounds too, you'll see. So I just pulled a little bit tidbits of stuff I had in my bundle, and what you'll find if you're new, you'll find you end up having that little container of something off to the side of your room or in a basket somewhere that you put your little scraps to, because then they become easy to pull from for projects like this. So that's what we're going to use. And I'm just going to get started. I hope that you'll follow along and have fun. Yeah, I'm eating a fruit snack with my grandson. He's 2, going on 3. He's 2.5. So he shared a fruit snack with his grandma. Grandchildren. If you're not made it to one of my lives, or haven't been following my channel, oh, I love my grandbabies, and he is just, he's got my heart right now. You'll hear me open my door from time to time because my dog likes to come in and out. So that was the dog coming in. So I do apologize for that brief interruption. Without further ado, we'll get started. Again, I haven't done a regular video in quite some time, so I feel a little bit out of my element. I'm gonna pause the video just for one moment, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had to deal with my nose. Okay, so I think for this first one, I was going to do a little bit of gessoing beforehand. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of collaging first with our papers here, and kind of see if I need to fill it in with gesso afterwards. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, because I may not need to gesso so much. Yeah, and if you're new, it's usually easier to rip your pages than cut them. Now, if you're going after a certain image, then maybe you'd want to fussy cut it. But you know what? I kind of liked it upside down, and upside down is okay. So we're going to do that, and I'm just going to put some. I'm going to kind of play with the placement here a little bit. And see what I got here. I don't know if now you're down or too far away. Let me see. Again, this is my first video. Usually I'm better coordinated on the live streams. I can tell a little bit better. I'm going to slide this over here. Now I'm a little more centered, I think. So pardon me as I get a little more acclimated to doing a regular video. So I think a little bit of that. Okay. Maybe a little bit of this. Let's put a little bit of this in here. And I might bring out a stencil or two. And maybe I don't. Maybe I don't like that there. One of my biggest hurdles to get over or things to deal with is placement. And I'm hoping through this series that I'm going to get a little bit faster. I mean, I've gotten better, but that's one of my issues is dealing with placement. But I think I like that. Yeah, and then I could always come in with a little bit of. Okay, so I think maybe we need something to brighten up this. It's always good to bring in some colors that are contrasting. Contrasting or you know, get out, if you're new, get yourself a color wheel, and you want to, you know, find colors on the color wheel that are either complementary or contrasting. Now, if you're mixing paint, you have to be careful. You don't want to make mud. That's the only thing you have to watch out for. That's too same. But other than that, I think I like that now. Put a little piece of this in there. Hold on one second. Let me put you on pause. Okay, I am back. Sorry about that interruption. Okay, yeah, I think I like that. So I think I am going to put just a little bit of white gesso behind here a little bit and a little bit of here, and I'm not going to worry about the back sides so much because I think I'm going to more worry about the front of the cards and the inside of the cards. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to start out at. And let me see, let me get my gesso. I like that placement. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of gesso on this just to fade out. Doesn't have to be all over. We just want it to cover that top portion. And then this is our layout here. Hasn't been glued yet or anything. Yeah, okay. So, and then I think, let me dry this, and then I'll come back. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, while some of these are lightweight and some of these are a little bit heavier weight, I'm just going to go ahead and use my matte medium for all of it. And then we can go from there. So we don't want the glue boogers. So I am going to put a little bit of matte medium on there. Oh my goodness. Oh, my brush I need to wash my brush because it did not I did not leave it in water. Note to self, leave your glue brushes in water. If you'll keep them soft and pliable, and I did not do that with this last couple days ago, and now my brush is hard, so I need to wash it so I can get that glue out and it'll be nice and soft again. So you know what, I'm gonna give, I like odd edges, so I'm going to use the odd edge. Leave that one there, and I'll come in with this one. Hopefully these videos will be a little bit faster than this first one, because again, that's one of the things I'm trying to make it easier for those that don't have a lot of time because they gotta work and kids and that. So my friends that can reach me and participate with me, even though they have crazy schedules. I know what it was like when I was a young mom and my kids were little. I didn't always have the time to always do what I wanted. So yeah, no, I don't want to cover all that up. No, don't want to cover up our odd edge. So now I'm second guessing. One of the things you can do too, if you have a magazine image, or be careful with the images. They're not sometimes they wrinkle, right? So okay. All right, now I'm debating where I want to put this. Do we want to put this like this? Sure, why not? Got to get better at just doing, not thinking, right? It's part of Shauna's. Shauna needs to get better at. I just do a lot of thinking. Like, you need to get faster at the not thinking part. Okay, so I like that. I like the colors. And then what I'll do is instead of worrying about cutting this off and all of that, when we come around to decorate this side, which I'm going to do next after I dry this, I'll just fold this down, and then it'll just, it's, you know, it doesn't matter if the colors come over, you know. Yeah, we're going to end up combining colors and going off the rails with this. So I'm going to dry that so then I can work on the other side, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So we've got our front. It's pretty much dry, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. The card is still pretty much intact. It's a little wonky, but that's okay. It'll all straighten out. Once you let these cure overnight, it'll all straighten out and be ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is get my gesso brush here. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of gesso on this. I'll probably end up covering it, but I'm just going to put a little bit for posterity. And except for we don't want the doggy hair. Doggy hair was not in the lineup, right? My little Loki. He doesn't have long hair, but he does shed. And so Yeah, we don't want his hair in there. All right, so now it's again, we've got to choose some things, and so this paper kind of matches there, so we want to pull some of that in. So I'm gonna go ahead and just again, I'm not really gonna think about it. I'm not even gonna plan this inner section. I'm just gonna go. Let's just go with it, and whatever happens, happens. Maybe we won't like it. Maybe we will. Again, but a good color a color will do you some good if you're newer. Yeah. I do want to bring this piece in, but I don't want the white in there. Yep, I think I like that going across there. I don't know why, but I do. So we're just going to go with that. We still have other things to do with this page. We do not want to get hung up on the details, right? And some black and white into the mix. And we'll cut off all our edges on any of those that we need to. A lot of times I'm just going to probably get in the habit of doing just this, just folding it over and going with it. Because that's going to stabilize, make the cards thicker. Yeah. So. Ooh, that was probably too much. In fact, I know it was. Don't tell nobody I wasted glue. Well, it's not a waste. I will just put it on and we will go with it. I'll put a little bit of this, actually, a little bit of this on this down here. And then now we're going to introduce some of this. And then again, we can cover up what we don't like with gesso. Just going to go with it. Everything's not quite dry yet. That's okay. I don't know about that yet. I pulled it out, but we may not use it. Who knows? You do got to be somewhat choosy when picking placements for some things. When you start getting down to the end, or because you don't want to have too many like things. On the same, kind of want to mix it up. That's the whole point of mixed media, right? You want to have a good flow of color. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit more gesso, and we're gonna do a little bit of bonding with the gesso in the end. But I'm going to bring a little bit in right now, and I think think I'm just gonna let the gesso kind of glue that in, right? Just like that. Okay, I'm liking how this is looking so far. And again, we're going to bring in some stenciling, and then we're going to put down some color and some stamping, and yeah, all that good stuff. So this is just with paper. I'm okay with not having any more of that. I need any more of this. Kind of got that all ucky. So maybe we can use this somewhere. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Got that right. All right. Goodness, we are 27 minutes in. I'm hoping to make these videos, like I said, a little bit short and sweet. We'll see. Okay, so I'm liking that so far. I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna pause this for a minute and dry this all up, and then come back to you for. Well, wait a minute. Actually, let me put in. You never know where a little tiny scrap like that is going to come into play. I do like that, yeah. So I'm going to go off camera and dry this, and then I'll come back to you, okay? So you go and dry what you're working on. Again, if you're working on cards or just regular cardstock or just regular paper, whatever you have on your desk, I hope you're following, not following along necessarily, but I hope that you're playing with me in the studio, at your craft table, wherever you craft. It'll be fun to see. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, I do have a Facebook page. I will also have the links to all my social medias down below. I would love to see your makes, so tag me, send me a request, and I will love to see it. I will give you a hashtag. Maybe I'll think about it for a minute, and I'll give you a hashtag. It'll be something to do with the Chronicles, and yeah, we'll go from there. So I will be right back in just a moment. Okay, so I'm back, and I pulled out a stencil, and you can use, again, any stencil that you like. And I'm going to start with the front, and I'll have to dry it and come back and then do the stenciling on the inside. So let me just do a little bit for you here and kind of show you how I'm going to work it. Or maybe I'll do the inside. Actually, let me just do a little bit of gessoing first to kind of bridge the gaps. Just gonna, a little bit of gesso helps blend your edges and make everything look a little more together, a little more cohesive. And you can use your finger. I like to use both depending. Sometimes I use more one than the other. I don't want to cover up all my papers, but I do want to deal with my edges a little bit. But sometimes it looks better smudged than brushed. Sometimes it doesn't. You just got to go with what you like and what you're seeing, what your vision is telling you. Just going to do that there, kind of just blending it in a little bit. And some of it will be more pushed back than others. Okay. Especially straight edges. I don't like some straight edges I like and some I don't. So, and I'm still trying to get rid of some of that background. So we're gonna I'm going to blend that out a little bit. Then plus we have to bring in our stamping too, right? So there's always that. And if you put too much down, get it while it's wet. Sometimes a baby wipe is helpful. Blend your edges. Okay, so now to decide where I want to do, I think I'm going to just do, because I know where I'm going to put it on the front, so I think I'm just going to put, and I'm just going to use heavy gesso today. Yeah, I'm going to just put a little bit. Just like that. There. I think I'll turn it. And and what I'll try to do, I think what I'll do too is in the description box of the video, if I remember, but this is I'll list the products I'm using as well. This is a Marimi Small Art stencil. I feel like I'm talking really fast. If I talk really fast, guys, let me know. I will try to not do that. I think I'm going to have the flowers maybe come up this way. So maybe, let me see those stamps. Let's see how those are. Let me know if I'm talking too fast. Okay, these stamps are actually going this way. So actually, one that way, and that way. So actually, yeah, they could actually all go that way. That's fine. Okay. So we could put another little bit here. Yeah. All right, so that's that. So I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to put a little bit in the upper left-hand corner of the front and dry that. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what it all looks like dried. Okay? So I'll see you in just a couple minutes. Okay, so I'm back, and this is where we left off. Get in camera view. And this is the front. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the stamping, and I think I'm going to do it in, I've been wanting to use this color, so I think I'm going to use this color. And get out my acrylic blocks. If you don't have an acrylic block, you can use the back of the stamp pad. I even use, you know, you just want something that's firm for your stamps. I'm going to, let's see. I know I want this one. This is going to be our stem. And I'm going to do a few different flowers. I guess I have to turn this one more so I can get it all on here. Okay. I'm going to stamp these like this. Okay. Stamp block allows you to manually position them right. Oh, that's not quite right. Let's scoot it over a little bit more. Let me see if that's right. See if that's where, yeah, that's better. Let me remark. Get these better. That allows you to position them. I think I'm gonna there. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to that one back, and I like this one. I like abstract, not so typical, you know, quirky flowers. Do I want to use that? Or maybe I want to use this one. It's more straight. Let's see here. On that side. Yeah. Use that one there. And then what I'll do is I'll color these in with the watercolor off. It's always good to do everything in threes. Wipe off my stamps. Do that on this one. These are new stamps, so this is the first time they're being used. They're virgin stamps, people. Virgin stamps. Maybe I don't want this stem. Maybe because of the way it's, change out the stem a little bit. Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay. Wipe that off. Put that over there. This over here.
Good night, Grandma.
Good night, baby. That's my 9-year-old granddaughter. Okay, now we'll do a few leaves.
Give me a kiss.
Kids are all getting ready for bed.
Yeah.
Actually, let me do some of these and see if I just want these on there instead of this big leaf. Maybe I'll do the big leaves in the corner. Actually, this so let's see here. There we go. Yeah, maybe we'll just do a few of these and some of these. We'll do half of that and some of that. Sorry for the banging. Put that one there. That one there. Some in the background. There we go. kind of like a garden. And then one more leaf. I'm gonna go over that one again. It's always a bad idea, but I think I can reposition it so I can see it. That's better. Okay. Maybe I'll just do a full one on this one side. So this side does not feel lonely, even though I am going to come in with watercolor. There we go. Okay, I think that's enough stamping. Okay, so I'll put that off to the side and I'll put those away later. I won't take up our time. Even though I can pause the video, I think I'd just rather create. Isn't that it? We love to create and we hate to clean up. At least I know that's one of my things. Although I do keep a pretty clean house. You'll see me do that. It's part of my OCD. One of my friends, and some of you know her. Her name is Eileen. She will tell you that I'm OCD. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna dry this. She will tell you that I'm OCD. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I have dried this. I did put a layer of my clear gesso on the whole side here and on the front here, and then I dried that as well. So now we're ready for the fun part, the coloring. I am gonna go ahead and pick out a pencil here. Let me see, let me get this on. And I think I have not really swatched these. I kind of swatched a few of them. And I think, you know, we've got to look at the colors we got going on here. We got green and maybe a little bit of magenta purple going on. And maybe some blue. So I think I'm going to stick with that color scheme. But for the pencil, I think I'm going to go with a green or maybe a green blue. I didn't swatch these. I really need to swatch these. These are graphitin pencils. They're water soluble. Was it this one that was the slate green? This one is that. Yes, I think this is the slate green. Get out my brush here and get out some water. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use that color. It's a nice dark green, gray, blue. So I'm gonna use that, and I'm just gonna put some marks, kind of in the background a little bit. I kind of like that. Like they're little. I don't really make anything. I just kind of scribble, and whatever happens, whatever flows out of me comes out of me. I make little loops and whatever, but then I'll come behind and I'll activate those with water. Do that. Just a little bit of that. I need to put these aside and remember to swatch these. Note to self. So let me just activate that a little bit. I don't want to activate it all because it's going to get activated a little bit with, and you could also activate water-soluble products with like clear gesso or matte medium if you want to make it permanent. I kind of want them there and then just kind of in the background a little bit. Yeah, just kind of there and not really there. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it so much. I didn't, just a little bit of scribbles in the background. Let me see bring it up closer, or actually I should bring you down. You know, I have this new thing, so let me see. Probably easier if I just bring it up, right, Shauna? Let's see. So you can see a little bit right there, and a little bit of my scribbling there. Now, again, if I wanted to make it permanent, I would do it with matte medium or clear gesso. Dab up the water. Actually, I really don't need to do that, but I am going to stay with that magenta, green, blue, and I really like those colors. So now I'm going to come in. First, I'm going to do my color into the background a little bit. So I'm going to come out here. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit more and see my palette. Actually, let me do it on this side because I am right-handed. Move my mess here. And let's see. I think I'm going to use, let's go with this, I do like this Prussian blue. Let's do that. That's going to be the blue, I think. And I love watercolors. I love how they react. I love how some of them are granulating. I love how some of them come in like two tones or different colors with them. This is a very basic set. Doesn't have some of those. It has a couple granulating colors. They're not like my Daniel Smith or in Graham. But yeah, I love how they leave behind a very flowy effect, or if you want to call it staining on the paper. I'm very much I very much like the flow. So I'm going to start in the front here, and I'm going to spray this. We'll cut off all the edges when we're done, or at least I will. I don't know what you're working on. Again, you're welcome to follow along or do your own thing. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of color here at the top. Just kind of let it flow. And spray it a little bit and watch it mingle with in between the paste. I love how it travels through the paste there. You'll see that. And if you are working with watercolors, or if you're new with watercolors, just remember watercolor dries lighter than what you see when it's wet. So just remember that it dries lighter. So that's one of the beauties of watercolor, that you can lift and play and just make all kinds of fancy stuff. You basically make the pigment dance across the paper. Now again, this is not watercolor paper, so you're not going to get some of the attributes you would as if it was watercolor paper, but you still can get you can still see some of the fun that it does. I'm going to come here and I'm just going to kind of and I'm really just playing with this project. If we make something that we like, that's great. I'm hoping, like I said, maybe we'll bind all these at the end of the project. I want to use up these cards. I want to make some cute little art along the way, use products that I haven't used in a while, reach out to some friends out there that maybe aren't able to come to the lives but want to work alongside me. Yeah. All right, so that's a little bit where that is. So I'm gonna dry that and come back. Okay, so I'm back, and that's how the front looks. I like that. I'm going to leave that, and now we're going to go towards the inside. And I'm going to get out a couple of the other colors that we're going to play with. I'm going to use, I think, sap green. Maybe darken it up with a little bit of hooker's green. Yeah, that's better. I haven't used this palette in quite some time. Again, it wasn't, it's not my normal palette, but good reason to use it, right? Yeah, I'm going with that. Okay. Make sure we have enough blue to play with. And then I think for the magenta, this doesn't have a magenta, quote unquote, in the palette, but I am gonna get a quinacridone rose, I think. That's very magenta-y in tone. This Rembrandt palette comes pre-designed when you order it. It's a little pricey, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it especially if you're a beginner. It's not one of the first paints that I would recommend. They're nice paints, but it's not something I would recommend. Okay, I think that's enough. So again, I'm going to give this. I'm going to try to stay out of the flower area because I'm going to come back and paint those those individually. So right now, I'm just going to do a little bit on the background. I'm going to start in this. I always start to my left side. I don't know why. Probably because I'm right-handed, maybe? I don't know. But we'll see. I'm going to start with a little bit of the blue. And kind of let it do its thing. Kind of swish it around a little bit. Now I want to get the green and some of that. When this blue and the green come together, it kind of makes like a teal color. I really like that. Okay, so let's see. I don't know what to talk about. You probably hear my grandson in the background. Again, I love the fact that being I'm a grandma. My grandbabies are where it's at. It's definitely different than raising your kids. I can't say enough about that. I'm going to turn this a little bit so I like to make the pigment, I like to pull the pigment and make it dance where I want it to go. Light in some areas, dark in others. And then I'll come around here and spray this area. Make it dance a little bit, kind of like rain. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is bring in a little bit of this magenta. Just pop it in places. Not really, you don't want a lot because you don't want to make mud, right? But magenta, the green, and the blue really, little drops of magenta looks good with the green and the blue. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of dance that around a little bit. Kind of just let it hang out. Let it hang out a little bit. So it can stain. Okay, so I'm going to dry that, and then I will come back, and then we will. Now while that's doing what it actually, a little bit more there. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to just let it. I'll probably actually, instead of pausing it, let me just carry on. I think I'll go ahead and move on down to the bottom here. And here I'm going to put more green and pink, or magenta rather. You don't really want a lot of blue. And I can come across the bottom here and turn it around. Kind of make the pigment dance a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to dry that. No, actually, no, I'm not. Let's do a little bit of splattering down here in the bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to dry it, and I'll come back to you. Be right back. Okay. So now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do the flowers really quick and the leaves. And to do the leaf color, I'm going to really bring in a dark green. I put a little bit of blue in it to make it to mix the colors that we're already using. And then I'm going to take a little bit of neutral tint. That's really going to darken it up. Bring it into a darker shade. Because I don't have a really dark green on this palette. but I really want a dark green. And we're just going to quickly going to put a little there. And this fine. This probably isn't a really good brush. Let me see. I have a smaller one. Where is my 19 one? Because I have a smaller brush, but I don't know where it's at. It's just not good. Here, I'll just use this one. Okay. All right. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little dab here. And then I'm going to take my other brush. You can do it one brush, but I like to use two brushes, and I'll just spread this out up the leaf with the other brush. I typically paint with two brushes in my hand. I'm a two brush girl. I know that may seem weird, but it's how I roll. So you'll see me do that quite often. Watercolor is one of those things that it's nice to fade out your pigments. So I like to put a little down and then take my other brush with a little bit of water and just go into it and let it fade it out into the other area and let it go from darker to light. And it naturally will shade where you put it. Just put a little bit, again, a little bit on the corner. Okay. Open it up so you can see it. So it'll look different once it dries. And then, so I'm going to do that really quick with all the leaves. A little bit down. And come in and fade it out. Put a little bit down. Come in and fade it out. And same here. Okay. And then go along there. Make sure you watch where your shadows are. Not that it matters. I mean, this is just a quick little thing, right? But you want to stick with your with what works, right? Where your shadows are. But we don't want to spend a lot of time on it either. So. And you can always, oh, wrong brush. Go in and make them darker if you want. You know, shade as you see fit. For those of you that are new, those of you that have been doing this a while, probably like, Shauna, we already know. Stop telling us that. Well, maybe there's some new people, you know? So those of you that already know what you're doing, just follow along and do it. Right? I hope that those of you that are new, maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll be, maybe you won't be so shy and you'll join me in the lives. I stream usually every Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Central, and every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Central. So I hope that you'll get the courage, or maybe one day you'll have time to join us. Alright, so let me take a look at that. Alright, so that's looking pretty good, except for I forgot a stem here, right? Gotta get all our... One nice thing about not stamping in black and stamping in either gray or like this color is sepia, or drawing in sepia or gray, is it's easy with watercolor, or it looks good with watercolor. Then you can hide your lines. Yeah. All right. So one more leaf. We go on the wide side for the darkest part. Get my brush and fade it out. Okay. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Okay. Then, really quick, we're going to do the flowers. So I'm gonna get some more paint here, a little bit of pink, or magenta rather, and then I'm gonna take some magenta and move it over here. And you don't want to use, when you're painting, you don't want to use a whole lot of colors, especially in watercolor. You want the less colors you use, the less, or the more cohesive it looks. You really only want to use, you know, what is it? I think it's maybe 5 to 7 colors, and if you can get away with it, in this case I'm using basically 3 colors and a neutral. Okay, so I'm going to wet the flower in its entirety. And then I'm going to put down, I'm going to grab her. I mixed the blue and the magenta, and I'm going to just put that on there. It's really watered down, so it's not going to be too dark. It'll really dry light. And I'm going to come in. Bring it up a little bit. It's really just really light. A little bit more. It's just to kind of give it a different tone on the inner petals, or the inner side of the petals. Okay. On that one. And then on this flower, I think I'll do the outer ones, the purple. Let's mix some more here. And mix this. Ooh, that's probably too much mixed, but that's okay. That's all right. Watercolor is one of those things that if you mix too much, you can always use it next time, because you can reactivate it. Oh, what are we working on? We're working on an hour already? Jeez Louise. One thing about these Rembrandt paints is they're very pigmented. So yeah. So I'll take a little bit of purple. Now this is a darker shade of purple than that shade, and that's okay. Let me get rid of my lines here. I noticed a line there. Now, if you're working on regular watercolor paper, you've got to know that you may not always be able to lift your color, like I'm doing here. So just be careful of that. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to come back now. So I'm already in that color. And this is dried a little bit. And we're going to really bring out that color. It's gonna give it a two-tone effect. It's gonna have light purple at the top and a pink magenta-y color at the base. Okay, and I'll show you in just a minute. And then I think we'll stick with that magenta, and I'll just work on fade. We'll make this one easy. And get that one down there. Alright, and then I'll fill in with this. So I'll make a little bit of purple in there. Okay. Yeah, so they're all a little bit different, but are all part of the same family. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I think that's good. And then, so that's the coloring on that part. That'll dry. And then for the last thing I wanted to use was this, my oil pastels. Those have been swatched for some time. And I think I'm just going to go around with a nice dark blue. And I think the Prussian blue is where I want to be on this. So that's this one. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and quickly chop off our edges. So we can clean up our page or card, whatever you're working on. Now if you're working alone and you're just working alongside me, or you're working through this, it won't take you an hour to do this. Obviously, this video takes time with me coming and going, and you know, walking through the steps and the intro and everything. So like I said, hopefully the videos will be much faster. Okay, so so that's where we're at. We'll chop off all our edges, and that's I think like I said, I hope that we'll bind these in a fun way, or at least I plan to when I'm at the end of this. And so let me get my oil pastel, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit on the edge here, and then just take my finger and just rub it in. Give it an edge. These are a dry media. You can wet them, but they also work where you can just put a little bit on there, and then just take your finger and smudge them. They're really, really nice and creamy. These are by Prima. But Sennelier makes some, but I don't think theirs are water soluble, but I know theirs are supposed to be really creamy. If you're under a budget, you can get, there's a really cheap brand. Oops, I gotta glue that. Obviously, I did not glue that all the way. One moment, please, while we do a little repair. That or I tore it, one of the two. Quite possible. But this is just a little card. Oh, that's another thing, too. If you wanted to do these and then make these as cards, you know, that's always a good idea, too. Yeah, there's a really good version of these. That I will show you if you guys want to know. Let me know in the comments. I have them in my studio somewhere, and I will pull them out and show them on the next one. Leave me a comment if you're looking for an inexpensive brand of water soluble oil pastels. There's also a fun little way that you can get oil pastels to move if you don't have some that are smudge friendly. So if you want to know that too, let me know in the comments, and I will share that tip with you. Yeah, I like to share as much as I can, but maybe you guys already know the tip. Well, I'll just tell you, you can take your heat gun and quickly heat it, and they become very movable. So that's just a quick tip too. We have some that aren't as smudge friendly. Just take your heat gun and heat them really quick. Don't know what to share, what everybody knows, and maybe somebody new will come across my video and won't know. Yeah, all right, well, that's where we're at. So that would be a cute little card. You could put a sentiment on it, and then again I'll go here and do the outside. And it'll be easy to wash up my table there, so I'm not worried about that. And then if you wanted, some people like to do splatters or splashes on their work. I'm not a big fan of splatters. I am a big fan of drips though. So I guarantee you we will see some of that along this process, along this journey. I'm a big drip girl. Not so much of a splatters, but I do like my drips. And if you've seen my lives, you guys know I do like my drips. Yeah. And those who have seen my lives are probably laughing at me like, really, Shauna? Really? Well, you know, guys, I wanted to share. So, yeah. I just think that if you're going to do a journal page, and maybe this isn't everybody, but if you're making a card or a journal page, mixed media style, they really need to be edged. So doesn't that just complete the card? You could put a sentiment on the front. You could put a sentiment inside. Write something here if you wanted. You know, and yeah, you could make it for any kind of occasion if you wanted, you know, make it geared more towards a male or whatnot. Yeah, I think the colors are just perfect. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you like the video, if there's something specific you want to see, a certain technique or a certain product, and I'll see what we can come up with. But I hope you'll follow along. And yeah, I had a good time today with you guys. And I hope to see you next time. Happy crafting. Goodbye.